Right, well I think where I'm heading first is in those trees behind me. I don't know if you can see them, probably not because the camera's really low down there, isn't it? It is absolutely freezing. So A7Cii 50mm, let's get going. How about this to start the day then, as I play stepping stones up here. And the 50 is actually becoming very favourable rather than a hindrance lately. The more I've got into this only shoot with the 50 little challenge. So let's see what we can make of this. As always in locations like this, plenty of trees and stuff that impede on the building. Can we even call that a building anymore? One thing I will say about the trees in this particular area though, especially the ones surrounding the ruin, they're so full of character and age and texture. I don't actually really mind them like crossing over the brickwork because they're so nice. And it looks like we're about to get a bit of light popping through. Okay, so just came up to this little bit of hill here, and every now and again for a split second the building catches a nice little bit of light, so I think I'm just going to chill here for a minute and see if that happens again. And the great thing about this angle is I don't have to worry about the chimney overlapping with any trees because there's such a huge gap in between the middle of the trees there where the chimney is. Always helps as well if you keep an eye on the surrounding area, like the big areas of grass and stuff, because when you start seeing those bits illuminating, there's a chance that something interesting may happen. Come on, son. This angle is kind of cool because there's an older, well not an old, there's another farm building that's actually like clearly in use in the background over there. So I made a video a few weeks back about grey, cloudy, overcast, dull, flat days, whatever you want to name them, where you've got a sky like this. I don't know how well that's shown in camera, but it's that overcast grey, not necessarily stormy and dramatic, just flat. And I said at the very start of that video to seek out colour on those days. So up here I've just noticed all these nice mossy rocks. So I'm going to come down, and I think this time we're going portrait. I'm going to frame the chimney portion of the building with these grassy rocks in the foreground, which I think adds a nice bit of pop of colour to the frame. I'm going to have my chimney in the top right hand corner of the frame. People think making YouTube videos is easy, I tell you. Anyway, come around here to get a nice detailed shot of the chimney. Like I said earlier, looks like one gust of wind could very much push it off. That little window at the top on the right hand side is kind of cool as well. It gives us like a clear center line down the middle. And I don't think I'm going to spend too much longer here because the rain's coming in. Basically, a lot of these places I'm photographing I'd really like to come back to when the foliage is a bit more bright and vibrant. So the goal of visiting so many of these little spots in the same morning is basically to figure out which ones are going to be worth my time in the future. I either mark it down as something I want to come back to multiple times and spend some real effort on, or write it off completely, or put it in the maybe pile, or maybe I even take some photos today that I'm just happy with and I'm like, yeah, sorted. This sign says calves with calves. Cows with calves can be aggressive, but the can be bit in that first shot there was being covered up, which I thought was kind of funny. God, I really just get sidetracked, don't I? Let's move. No more photos of cows with calves with calves being aggressive. Whoops. All right, so next few visits are going to be quick flying ones, I think. I say that, but probably end up spending too much time there. But I definitely won't need as much time as that first subject down there. So let's go see what we can find, check out these subjects, and try and do it relatively speedy because the rain looks like it's coming to ruin the day. And can't really film when it's bucking it down because the camera that I film on just stands there getting completely obliterated, doesn't it? Let's go. So second subject that I had in mind for today, I don't know if you can see me from all the way back there, has almost completely been demolished, not demolished, fallen down. So that hasn't really gone to plan, but I have, however, on the drive up this hill, found a couple of little potential shots. So as you can see, hopefully in the camera, some smashed up caravans, or one smashed up caravan with a backdrop of a slightly ruined building. And I think this is pretty cool, actually. So I'm going to mess about here for a bit, and I shall put the photos on screen. I'm going to put that camera I'm recording on back in my car because it's starting to snow quite. It's kind of sleety snow, and I don't want that one to get sodden. Oh yeah, it's properly snowing now. Let me get this back in the car and I'll talk over some more photos. Protect your cameras at all costs, my guys. It is fully weather sealed, this camera and lens, but I found myself being drawn to these two big metal containers, and although they may not be the most interesting of subjects, on the topic of decay and ruins and stuff, I feel like they fit into that theme really quite well. I then got a nice close-up detail shot of that chipped green paint, which I think sits really nicely with the other image when they're side by side. And then it would have been rude to not get a quick photo of this red container as well, with that gate that's nestled between the two stone walls. The next subject I had pinned for the day was this old workshop that I assume is some kind of car mechanic or something along those lines, based on the kind of cars that are parked around it and stuff. I moved in a bit closer here to get a nice shot with the caravan on the left hand side, and I'm making sure my shutter speed isn't too fast so we can capture some of that snow in different places. A quick glance to the right and I noticed this relatively modern red car next to the rundown old workshop, which I think makes a really nice contrast. So I framed that up, making sure the tree's nicely positioned in that gap as well, and I think this makes a really nice image, especially with some of that snow falling. I'm not 100% sold on the modern car though. Everybody loves Volkswagen camper vans, let's be honest, and I noticed this old Volkswagen camper to the left of me, so I swing round and take a nice quick frame of that. Nothing too crazy going on here, just framed nicely, making sure there's no real distractions or anything in the edges of the frame. Another angle I liked of the workshop was this one here, where the caravan now almost becomes the leading subject in the frame and the workshop just kind of sits over to the right hand side, just doing a nice bit of colour work for us in that one. Just seeing if I could notice anything else of interest while I'm here, I spotted these plant pots along this window ledge outside, and of course the paintwork again stripped back by the elements of this area, so I grab a couple of photos of that while we're on this theme of decay and ruin. I especially like the old netted curtains that you can see through the window, because they kind of add even more to this feeling of age and decay. And then just coming back now, I grab a quick close in detail shot which shows a lot more texture and detail of the workshop. Right, well, I didn't anticipate having to go full-blown off-roading for this next one, but this one looks like it's got potential. So I'm going to jump out just with my stills camera. Probably doesn't look that bad on camera, but it is it's not the weather to be leaving a filming camera just stood idle. You know what, if you're new to this channel, you should hit subscribe right now, just for the fact that I've probably destroyed my car to bring you this video. So talk to you in a minute. This is the ruin in question here. It doesn't look like much, but I was interested in this one mainly for where it sits and its surroundings. I took a quick reference photo here to remind myself of the trees that sit behind the ruin. I don't actually mind this image, my lens was fogged up on the left hand side, and although that's a complete mistake, I think with the snow whipping past an almost a motion blur effect to the frame, it's quite raw and rugged. I went to have a more in-depth look at the row of trees that were most appealing to me at the time. I shot this one in black and white, which needs some refinement, but again, a great reference photo, and then one more in colour with a lot more negative space, which gives a great look at those hills in the background. And then just another quick minimal reference shot of the ruin. That big gap in the stone wall I think has potential to do something really nice with when I revisit. There's a point, ladies and gentlemen, where it's time to go home, and this is it. So if you was wondering what on earth I was doing there, legging it about with the action cam and just firing shots off everywhere with the camera, I was basically trying to cover anything that I initially thought was interesting from what I could see through my glasses being caped in snow and rain. And this is definitely a spot I'm going to come back to, but I'm going to have to remember how treacherous it is to get up this, to actually get up to it. So it might be a walk next time up to it instead of a drive. Anyway, I'm either going to end the video here or I'm going to have something to say when I get home. So if this is the end, then thank you. If this is the end, sounds so ominous, doesn't it? Then thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining me on this mad little mission today. I've done my bit for the Photography Society.